Hitting the high notes, here's your look at the Cryptozoic Entertainment DC Bombshells Black Canary vinyl figure. Collect the entire line of DC Comics Bombshells. Black Canary was designed by Pedro Estudillo and sculpted by Anders Enrenborg. To get this review underway, colleagues of mine, yes, I consider all of you sincere colleagues of mine. Don't mean to get so emotional. Taking the Ultra Megatron and putting it to the very top of Black Canary's head, stopping the Megatron right there from the bottom to the top as she's worked her career from the bottom to the top. The figure stands, the vinyl statue of Black Canary stands at 7.5 inches in height. Centimeters to the heckling crowd yelling centimeters, you're looking at 19.1. Boop, boop, boop. 19.1 centimeters tall. Much like the other DC Bombshells, Black Canary is perched atop of a half, almost maybe 1/3 of a cut of a bomb. And though the bomb does sadly does not have any paint to it, you can see it's been beautifully casted here in an olive-colored green plastic with rivet points running all the way across the rounded edge of it. There is also a star on the side of it. These are things that we generally don't spend a lot of time to, but you really want to spend just as much time, maybe a little less time, but still focused as much time and effort into looking at things that the figures are going to be standing atop of as the figures themselves. And there's what the undercarriage looks like of the bomb. Again, there's really no paint to it, but really most of your focal point, your attention of these peepers are going to be focused on the statue and not necessarily what she's standing atop of. Again, you could have just given us, Cryptozoic that is, could have simply just given us a round circular display base, but this gives you a little extra oomph, a little extra kind of calling card for the fact that these are the kind of the more vintage starlets. That is the DC Bombshells. As we make our way up, why don't we start with first looking at the head, and then we'll kind of work our way down. A beautifully painted, as really can be the case for all the Cryptozoic Bombshells figures that we've looked at on this channel. If you haven't, by the way, seen those, feel free to check out those videos after wrapping up this video here. But just as much as I loved the ones before, I have to say, really digging again the face sculpt on these. There's sort of stylized, overly proportioned figures, really, where you have a larger head sitting on top of a smaller neck and smaller frame, and then again, like a very kind of stout, proportioned body. It's, again, this kind of anime feel and vibe that I get from this. I would really love to see like an animated feature with this sort of design element to it. Again, the head sculpt is absolutely gorgeous. You've got the crystal blue eyes piercing really right at you. I think a lot of that can be chalked up to the fact that they've given her this very dark contrast of the black outlining there on her eyelashes, on her slightly eyelids, and of course her eyebrows there. She's also got a little bit of a mole there. I say a little bit of a mole. There's a mole right there above her lip. She's very subtly airbrushed, but what subtlety has been added to the face just really does stand out with that little slightly brushing of pink that's been added to her cheeks. The earrings that she's been given has carried over the same sort of color palette that her eyes have had. And again, she's just a really beautiful head sculpt. I just absolutely adore these bombshell figures that Cryptozoic are releasing. I just kind of hope deep down inside that they're going to continue releasing these statues because, again, they're stunning to be putting on display. As we move our way further down, I guess we should abruptly stop once again to kind of examine her hair curl. And she does have like a very Jessica Rabbit sort of head curl of hair curling around to the front of her face there. There's really not much in the way of paint that's been added. Really, it's just the mold that gets the point across. I guess there's a little bit of a slightly darker yellow that's been added in there, most of which is really just relying on the sculpt and these additional kind of lines that have been etched into the vinyl just to give you this beautifully flowing hair. She's also got the little flower, the rose, that's been pinned to the top of her hair. And again, really beautiful head sculpt. As we work our way further down, we're treated to a plaid, partially opened shirt with the ruffled, folded up sleeves that is famous for like a lot of these older starlets. She's wearing, she's kind of wearing like the black gloves. She's very much reminiscent of like a Lacey Evans, I think, is from WWE, who is again kind of channeling a lot of those vintage starlets in the way that she dresses down to the ring. She's also got a tattoo there. Yes, I did use a wrestling reference. She's got a tattoo there as well. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's, of course, a heart, a crown, and a little banner that's running across. It's a little harder to actually make out what it says. But the skin is very pale. It's actually even slightly lighter in contrast to her face because the arms don't have that additional kind of airbrushing of the pink in the cheek area there. Just stunning, stunning sculpt here. She's wearing a split-sided skirt with some button points there on the front that matches to the coloring of the buckle around her belt area there. You sort of see like an undershirt in there as well. She's also got what looks to be like an aviator eagle there in a choker. And as we make our way down, kind of a trademark for Black Canary is fishnet stockings. This one is no exception. She's got a pair of fishnet stockings on and a pair of opened shoes, which as we spin those around are treated to the same kind of gold color that was made apparent here actually in the buttons and the belt buckle there. She is also holding her microphone, about to probably break out in song, or at the very least some vocals being projected out from her voice. I would imagine, I would hope, if she has herself a microphone, she probably does have a beautiful singing voice. None of which really can be conveyed here in the statue here. While audio really doesn't come into play, certainly visuals come into play, and these peepers are been checking out this statue for about 5 or 6 minutes or so in this review, and absolutely just, again, love the design that Cryptozoic puts into all of their pieces. We have kind of over the year or so, year and a half, have been looking at the various different bombshell figures that Cryptozoic have released. Even though these don't technically have posability to them, what they do have instead is character. Gorgeous again, very bright eyes, large head, and a slightly smaller proportioned body make up kind of the perfect formula that Cryptozoic continues to put into all the bombshells that we've been looking at in this channel. And Black Canary is no exception to that. And let me save you waiting for your military telegraph to arrive. Some good news, though, if you guys are interested in picking up the DC Comics Bombshells Black Canary from the folks over at Cryptozoic, she should be available now, along with the new recent wave of DC Comics Bombshell vinyl figures, as they should be now available in comic book stores. Today we were having a look at the Cryptozoic Entertainment. This was the DC Comics Bombshells Black Canary vinyl figure, a fantastic release, once again from the folks over at Cryptozoic. Again, I had alluded and mentioned it in this review that I had looked at previously some DC Comics Bombshell figures or statues from Cryptozoic. If you did want to check those out, follow up, if you will, then there's a playlist that you can check out called the Cryptozoic Entertainment playlist or the DC Comics Bombshells. It'll also be in there as well. Make sure as well you telegraph your way down to the bottom button just below this video. It's the one that says subscribe. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below, as we certainly will be looking at some more DC Comics Bombshell figures in future reviews. Thanks for watching, guys, as you always do, and I'll see you guys next time.